to the Talos and Tech podcast, everyone.
No. We're not doing this again. Oh my God. Welcome back to the Talos and Tech podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We were all here last week. I was simply camouflaged in the room, both as Nick and Randy suggested. And because we didn't have a mic on me last week, I thought I would clarify a few things at the beginning of this show.
Okay.
Yes, Randy, you are the talent. Yes, Randy, you are the good-looking one. Yes, I do want you to take over the network. I was camouflaged the entire time. I do like the frosted glass option with the nano texture on the iMac. Nick, the live streams are monetized, and I'm sorry I argued with you. I do want you to host Randy. Anyway, moving forward.
That was beautiful.
There's my proof.
Oh, wow.
Every time you asked me, hey, Drew, what do you think about this? I was speaking. You just couldn't hear me that well.
No, what do you think about that? About it?
It was an audio problem.
It was an audio problem.
Glad we got it cleared up.
We get blame
those
that
every
audio
week.
engineer. What does he know anyways?
What does he know?
Yeah.
This feels weird. We haven't done this in weeks now.
I don't like it.
I can't
don't
reach out and touch you. What's going on
Wait.
here?
It's like, it's nostalgic and it feels familiar, but I'm a little sad and dead inside now because
sad and
now
dead.
it's like
Wow. Those are
I'm
two
just
things.
talking to hardware now. Sad.
I think it's been
what
like
she
4
said.
weeks since the three of us.
3.
3? Yeah. 3.
This is the
'cause
third.
we
This
did-
is the third week.
This is third week.
No.
Last week was me.
You mean it's
Week
been
before was 3 in person. Before that, it was me and Randy. Before that, it was me and Nick.
I forgot about this. Episode 97 was the last time we were all virtual. And this
I
is
don't like
102.
this.
So,
I don't
wow.
like it.
It's 5 episodes. So that's over a month. And guys, we could have just taken a month-long break. We've done it in the past, but no. Instead of taking a break, we decided to bring out the content every single week. Even though some
right.
of the podcasts, mostly Randy and my's podcasts, were a little lackluster, we still brought you the bacon.
Hey, how
every
dare
week.
you? How dare you, Nicholas?
I was mostly speaking
Nicholas.
about myself, but you can take that personally if you think you deserve it.
Which is why Drew said I'm the talent and host and all that. I felt like I was
And I didn't get a
driving.
single commendation. Like, I cannot believe that Drew just blew over me like that. I'm a little offended.
Well,
I responded. You were saying you thought the live streams weren't monetized. They are. So I corrected you because I
thanks.
watched
So
the
it's-
entire podcast. after
Randy
the
gets
fact.
the network. Randy gets the star talent, and I get corrected. Is this how this is?
Ready.
He
gets it all. Okay. Quite frankly, Nicholas, will you look at this? Will you look at this, Nicholas? Look at this. Look at this, Nicholas. Nicholas. It's okay. I'm good. All right.
I wrote the response based on how you guys talked to me off camera.
I was nothing but nice to you, Drew.
I distinctly remember us going,
you, Nick.
will you not be true? Come on. Yeah, real nice. Real nice.
And now that I'm finally here, I really enjoyed the iMac refresh that no one should buy. That was great.
The iMac got refreshed. I forgot about this. I already bought 6 of them with the nano texture display.
Minimalist.
Ooh. Do you think Quo is right in assuming that a 24-inch redesigned iMac could come at the end of this year to replace the 21.5-inch iMac, but not the 27?
It would make sense why there has not been a refresh on that particular size. I don't think they're going to do away with it and minimize it to only one iMac. I think they're past the point of having only one configuration. So it would make sense. I hope so, because it would fall in line with all these high speculations of this iPad Pro looking screen, while also having
I want to see that.
while having the ARM chip in there. And I think you covered it, or Sam, it just makes more sense that if they do kind of like a stagger where MacBook 13-inch, iMac 21-inch, that the smaller configuration models of those would actually be the better introduction to it, because it would have the furthest spread of it to get their first impressions more or less out there, as opposed to doing the Mac Pro, or as opposed to doing the iMac Pro, if there was to be another one. Anything that starts to become a little bit more pricey and more niche in the sense of productivity or professional consumerisms and stuff like that, it I don't think it would be a good idea to put those first, especially when they're doing a transition like this. Let's start with the cheaper models first.
Yeah, Sam from iUpdate did a video breaking down basically how he thought it made sense to do like the lower performing cores first, because if they started with the Mac Pro or they started with the iMac Pro, then everything following those chips would just be disappointing. It would just be like, oh,
that's
well,
what
they're
it
not
was.
as fast as the cool one. Which I had a video that didn't explain it in that way, but it's fairly similar, of just kind of starting with the entry level stuff and then working your way up.
I never thought about it like that. I was
it.
getting more of the Mac Pro vibe first, thinking that it's like, oh, well, there, we made it for a very specific audience, and then iMac Pro's like, here's the compromise. But then after hearing that point of starting with the lowest end model first, it actually makes more sense, because this isn't going to be tailored for a niche audience. This is going to be tailored for everybody. This is the new Apple doing their transition of it. So afterwards, that started making more sense. I can see that being the case. And so to answer your overall question, I hope we see the iMac, but it's more so because I'm just excited to see new designs more than anything.
I know.
That's it.
It's so long overdue.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah.
I'm ready. But 24 inches too. I couldn't replace my iMac with a 24-inch Mac.
Were you about to say that 24 inches is too small? Because 27
24 inches is way too small.
Definitely.
Hey, once you have 27, you don't go back, man.
No, you can't go back from 27.
That's
In
it.
fact, I had 32 inches for a while. And now going to 27, this is about as small as I'm comfortable getting.
Oh, Drew.
It's way too early in the show for these kinds of jokes. It's way too early.
Good
we usually
morning.
save this for our audience.
Good
The last
morning.
So, what did you guys think of the nano texture display? Because that is one of the most. If the front of the display looks as nice as the back of my iPhone 11 Pro with the nano, just that texture. If that's the same kind of texture on these displays, because I haven't seen the nano texture in person yet, I would be blown away, because that would be awesome.
I really want to see it. I don't think I would pay for it if it's an additional $500. I just see that as a nice little, okay, I can keep the glass the way I'm used to it being and save $500, so I'll keep the old glass. But I would like to check one out just to see what it's like, because it does help with glare in certain lighting situations, but it's not a big enough problem for me to want to spend that much money to fix it. But I'm for the option. I have nothing against the option for people who want it. And the videos I saw of Marquez's, nano texture iMac, it looked really cool, having that frosted look. So that was a total, like, no leaker, no analyst saw that coming. So I like seeing little surprises like that, because we knew there was probably going to be one last iMac boring refresh before the redesign, but we didn't predict the webcams. We didn't predict the microphone improvements, the T2 chip. We literally just thought it would be CPU and SSD upgrade. So the fact that we got a bunch of stuff with it, I was like, man, they're really trying to make this appealing, because they know probably no one wants it.
They were probably saving it for their ARM iMac, and it's like, well, we gotta the Osborne effect. That's not an episode till we say it. So, and so
would you guys get nano texture on a MacBook if they did it?
I would get it on an iPhone. I don't know about anything else, because
to be honest, I'm not even. I know we talked about before. I think even Nick and I covered it. I don't think I fully comprehend it. Like, maybe I'm being too dismissive of the tech of it, but I don't. It may be because it's not a high wish list for me, that I just kind of like, matte finish, nano this or nano LCD. What they're going to try to do for the Apple Watch and all these. It's just, does it look good? Is it bright? Can I get a high resolution out of it? Give me a better refresh
rate. It's more like
or
True
something.
Tone.
It's
like True Tone. You don't really want it, and then it's there, and now you can't live without it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
maybe that's what it could be.
Maybe that's why I can live without it now, because I don't have it yet, and it's not a necessity. I think when it comes specifically for these display enhancements that we keep hearing about or seeing, I I'll accept it if it comes standard default. It's not something I think I would go out of my way to go out of my mind to. Sure, I don't think I'd go out of my way to pay for it. When Nick and I saw the XDR Pro display, blah 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 blah, that 15-word display in person
that I've never seen.
It's cool, and I was
it will change your life, Drew. Literally,
I will stand by it.
There will be your entire life will be determined by the day that you saw it. So it'll be pre-Pro Display XDR and post-Pro Display
years
XDR.
from now.
There's a BD and AD, and it's before display, after display. New AD, it's year 1 AD after display. So
I'm not going to an Apple store anytime soon.
That's true. So when we saw the display, it was really cool. In no video I ever saw gave it the right justice. Loved it. But it's like now that I saw it, I wouldn't pay the money for it. It's just I can appreciate it, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with a more matte finish or anything that they put into it. It's like, okay, cool, but if you're going to make me pay for it, I've been getting by. What is it now? 13 years, just fine with mobile devices that didn't have it. I'm cool.
But it's not the same. You need this, Randy. You need it.
What are you doing? Is this your reality distortion field? It's not working.
Man, I'm trying hard. I'm projecting all of my reality distortion at your non-nanotextured mindset.
Nanotexture hypnosis.
Yes. I'm staring at the back of my frosted iPhone 11, and it is just, I want that as the front.
What you're doing is you're looking like a human who's trying to do it for us. You want this. And I'm like, hello, what are you doing? No, hello. I don't. Yeah, hello.
The mind the tricks don't work on me. I'm a Tridarian.
I was like, I didn't know you're Italian, Anthony.
Yeah. Speaking of going to the Apple store, do you think Apple will actively encourage people to not go to the stores this year and just say, nope, it's not gonna, iPhone won't be in the store on launch day? You just gotta
there's no way they're having any stores open. I mean,
there's a few stores that are like appointment only.
I've been to one of them. I tried to get some service on on a broken phone, but the Apple Store experience really changed a lot, and I know lots of things in our world has changed, and it's probably a little bougie of me to complain about how the Apple Store's changed because lots of people have lost their jobs and other things. I know, Nick,
it's on topic though. So
it is on topic. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch into it. I did not enjoy my Apple Store experience, and I am actually looking at going again at some point, and it's sad. Because normally an Apple Store is a place of wonder and excitement where you can freely drool over all of the latest technology. And
it's like going to Disneyland, but better.
It's like going to Disneyland, but better. You're so right, Drew. But when I went to this COVID-style Apple Store, I had to wait in line outside for like 10 minutes in the sweltering heat and get my temperature checked, and I was too hot because I was sweating, so I had to go sit in my car for a few minutes and cool down so they could take my temperature again. I'm like, guys, I'm not sick. You're just making me stand outside when it's 110 degrees. Why wouldn't you expect me to be warmer than 90, whatever it is?
And they got to be careful.
I know, they got to be careful, but it didn't feel like the Apple Store experience. And then when I went in there, there was only one person allowed per one of those tables, one customer and one genius person. And it was, I don't know, they had some lady opening the door for everyone, and I love opening Apple Store doors. They're so heavy and so well balanced. Like, you pull it open, and it's just like this heavy, like 200-pound glass door that you're just pulling, but it's so well balanced that it's pretty easy once you get the momentum going. Mm-hmm. But they had some lady opening the door for me, and I'm like, I want to experience this beautiful Johnny Ive design.
Nick.
I know.
There's germs.
Germs. Well, we were all fine before. I'm just sad about my Apple Store. Okay, guys. I want to go back to my Apple Store, folks.
It's just going to be a different vibe on iPhone Day because for the several past few years, I've always gone to the Apple Store on launch day at least once. You know, sometimes not for both launches, but at least one of the launches, the iPhone 10 launch, iPhone 7 launch, iPhone 10s, 11. You know, it's become more of a routine for me, and now I can imagine
Drew just
on
likes getting clapped at when they walk in.
Yeah, it's fun.
Drew's like,
it's fun. You get to usually see a few people you know. Yeah, and it feels more real than just reading about it on a website at home when you're actually at the store and they've got the big posters and they've got this lineup of people that are all into the same stuff you are. It's fun. And now this year it's going to feel very different when they announce it. They're like, it'll start shipping, next couple weeks. And that's all. Don't come to the store. There's not going to be iPhones there if you go.
I think
so don't do it.
I'm gonna go against the grain here and say that I think they will do in-store stuff. I think part of them pushing everything out anyway, besides delays in the manufacturing, is going to be beneficial in the sense that we may, God willing, fingers crossed, the economy is going to be up and running at this point too. And this is because the bigger picture is we're going into holiday season at this point, and I don't think anybody on an economic scale wants to or even possibly could afford to let it be online only when some of these things are in-person type of experiences, as the pompous one Nick was talking about. Or maybe it's something that, like IKEA,
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy anything from IKEA without having to go into the store first and taking a look at it firsthand and picking up the pieces myself. As I don't feel comfortable ordering it online without seeing something first. Stuff like that, I think that on a massive scale, on a macro level, I feel like malls and anything that involves shopping and consumer and moving money and pushing the economy forward with at least not artificially stimulating it, but actually having money move and do its thing. I feel like people are going to, or not by people, I mean like I feel like us as an economy, I feel like we might see something with just social distancing implemented. When we go out to dinner, as you guys are aware, they do outdoor seating to circumvent the rule of you can't be inside. I would not be surprised if we see something like that on a shopping scale, not just a restaurant and dining environment, but there's some type of way to circumvent new rules while still maintaining proper social distancing and stuff like that.
Nice airplane mode, Nick.
And I have this muted on my Mac. I don't know. I'm looking at the settings here, and it says it's muted. I do
Well,
not do not disturb
personally,
on it, so.
Personally, Randy, I disagree. I think that Apple won't be caught dead knowing that they're causing crowds. Even if there are social distancing in place, they know that it would bring out large groups of people if you could pick up your iPhone at the Apple store. So they want to avoid that if at all possible. It's fun, but so is Dub
Nick,
Dub.
would you
And
wait
they
in
didn't do
line
that in
for
person
3
either.
hours to get your phone?
Yes, I've done it before.
No, you wouldn't. You just complained about how you were sweating in the hot temperatures.
I would be sad, but no, it would be in the morning. Like, all the iPhone waiting is always before the sun rises, which is fine.
So we're going
because
back to
then
Black
it's not-
Friday days when people would have to wrap around Best Buy 3 times just
Dude,
to get
I did
inside.
it.
What
I
happens
was-
every year,
Yeah.
as I can attest, as someone who's been in those lines, is you have a huge number of people that pre-ordered and a huge number of people that didn't pre-order and are hoping to just show up early enough.
And you have
that
a
they can
small
get
number of people
one-
who pre-ordered and show up early, and then they're just sitting there.
Yeah, because
Foaming at the
from
mouth.
experience, they know. Even if your appointment isn't until 11, you can still actually get the phone
Yeah.
as soon as you walk
Yes.
in, as long as you have the code. So there's a crowd that would generate nonetheless that Apple doesn't want to be accountable for. People that look at,
But what
they'll
if they,
be in
like,
the news
what
in
if
the
they
media.
contracted-
Look, Apple's causing crowds.
What if they contracted with Walmart and just bought out like one of their parking lots for a few weekends, and they're just like, okay, everyone, you all have to stay 6 parking spaces apart, and we will launch
But
your
Nick,
iPhone to you
your
in a
Apple
T-shirt cannon.
customer experience. You were just talking about how much you hated the experience.
No,
the Apple Store
I
experience.
do dislike the new experience, but there's kind of 2 things in my mind. One of them is going into the Apple Store and enjoying Johnny Ive's perfectly designed utopia, and the other part is hanging out with fellow Apple sheep who are there and excited about the same thing that you are. And
I'm convinced Nick is in a cult.
of what?
Wait, this isn't a cult?
I thought we were in
are we
a
in
cult,
right now?
Randy. Come on.
What? Are you gonna see a circle with a T in the dead center on my tattooed on my? One of us.
No, I mean, like, just like you're saying, they could have implemented, like, Apple employees could have been at Worldwide Developers Conference, spaced across in the crowd, but they didn't do that. They didn't want to get caught. They wanted to be overly cautious, overly protective, and that's why they're just going to be like, no, wait at home. The iPhone will get to you.
I'm legit excited
tuned.
that we're gonna probably get. Not probably. I'm like, I would bet everything that we would get another one of those WWDC type of videos for the Apple release. I'm so excited to see it. I'm so
They've
excited.
probably already
because-
finished
Me too.
filming it.
Yeah,
No.
they're probably working on it right now. Have you guys seen the leak that or the rumor going around that on September 7th they're going to drop the new iPad and Apple Watch as a site refresh.
I just saw that.
That is
would
not
be-
going to happen at all. Come on.
I would be a little
Really?
sad.
Nick doubts it.
I doubt it.
How about you, Randy?
Wait, so iPad and what was the other one?
Apple Watch. First Apple Watch as a site refresh ever.
If it's just a spec bump, then I get it. But if there's going to be even something remotely different, hardware-wise or aesthetic-wise, I would really hope that's not the case. Just because with an hour or two, with 2 hours of keynote, you can fit all those hardware stuff in. You're telling me you want to spend more time introducing an accessory like AirTag over the new iPad, which you did a site refresh for AirPods Pro. I just don't. I hope that I don't see it. I don't want it to be that case, because do a site refresh for the accessories. You already done it for the other ones. Just do it like that. But let's focus on anything that requires an OS to have stage time.
Yeah, it will be very new because they've never done that before. Pretty much every Apple Watch was introduced on stage from the beginning, and I believe it. Personally, it seems like an odd year, and it doesn't sound like the Apple Watch Series 6 is going to have much different. Pretty much it's like no Force Touch S6 chip, which is slightly more power efficient or something like that. In which case, I can get why they don't really want to talk about it on stage, because for one,
But the
they
dance
want to get the new
moves.
iPad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin needs his stage time. But they want to get the Apple Watch and the iPad out in September, but they can't get the new iPhones out until October or something like that. So they're like, well, for whatever reason, they might want to push the event back, but we'll see, I guess. I don't know. I could see them doing it,
the
though.
way
I won't be
I-
shocked if it ends up happening.
The way I see it is, if it's coming from a leaker's mouth about releasing something, I will go against the grain on that and say, well, Tim Cook has already proved a few things wrong with WWDC, and I hope that it's another misdirect. Just even if it makes sense, I want it to be a misdirect so we can have the surprise element still there. I don't want to be robbed of
Yeah.
the surprise element. I know it's inevitable for some things, but I like the wow. So, yeah, you get it. This guy
So-
gets it.
What if we've had, AirPods Pro drop, we had the 16-inch MacBook Pro, we've had, what other site refreshes have we had? I think
Magic Keyboard.
Magic Keyboard, you're right, Magic Keyboard. And actually they kind of did
iPad.
it with the Magic Keyboard. Instead of having one or two big events during the year, which I get, big events are fun and I would like them because I love them, what if they had a bunch of like 20-minute events throughout the year? So they had like this Apple Watch, instead of it being a site refresh, it was still the dub style live event, but it was just like the 20-minute Apple Watch segment. And then that way, because my biggest problem with these site refreshes is the same reason why I didn't like the Magic Keyboard to begin with. Apple didn't show me the
Because
product.
you're wrong and I was right. And it's quite simple.
I mean, that is part of the reason why, but I would wager that it was because Apple didn't show me the product. They're just like, here it is. Not, why do you need this? I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid enough at the time. So I would really love it if Apple would, take some time and say, okay, here's the new Apple Watch Series 6. Here are the one things that it does differently than the Series 5, and you should buy it and talk about it for 20 minutes. We get Tim up there and he'd be like, so we've gotten so many messages from so many of our customers, and here's 4 sob stories about how Apple Watch has saved people's lives. And they could do that whole hype, which
How
is
dare
what
you be
I'm missing.
dismissive of those heroic stories?
I'm not being dismissive. I cry every time I watch that 4-minute ad with that lady who is in the car accident and the kid who's in the hospital. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, Apple Watch.
I wish I wish Kevin or Tim could do a live demo of fall detection. They go out on stage and slip on a banana. And then just, you got to admit that would be funny.
That would be
I
pretty
would
just
die. Good morning.
If Tim
yet.
Cook just walked out.
Better yet, he accidentally trips on some cable on his way out. Good morning, and then he tries to recover the
I'm
presentation
so
and he's
excited.
going, and his Apple Watch is like, Did you fall?
Wow. It's already notifying emergency service.
This is the power that we
15 minutes later, the ambulance EMT people show up and they're like, "Where's Tim? Where's Tim?" Like, he's in a live presentation at the moment. Hey, speaking of
I
live
would say-
events. Oh, go ahead, Randy.
The
quick,
20-minute
though.
segment idea with keyboards. Now I'm just going to drag it out, Nick.
Okay.
You should have never said that. As long as you have Craig doing the demo of anything, I don't care if it's 20 minutes. I don't care if it's just I want to sit there and just be like, this guy's hilarious. He's funny. I just want to. I'm in awe of his stage presence over the years, and I hope that if they do site refreshes. Don't mind me, I'm fixing the camera. It went off anyway. I hope if they do a site refresh that they do something like they did with the iPad Magic Keyboard, in the sense that they still show something, just so that way you can get a feel for it, and have Craig do it, because he can sell me. He could sell me ice water in the North Pole, and I'll be okay with it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
has that
I'm in
effect.
favor of that too. More content if possible. If we can get more video from Apple talking, I don't really know what they could do with the Series 6 if it's all it's rumored to be, which is no Force Touch, bigger battery. You can pretty much describe all of that in a web post, but I don't know. If they want to demonstrate some blood oxygen test in a video format, then sure, go ahead. I'm in favor of that.
It doesn't even have to be 20 minutes. It could be, a 7-minute Johnny Ive style introduction video. But like, they need to.
It'll be a TikTok.
There you go. 10-second TikTok.
Portrait mode.
It'll be gone by then.
They need to show me the product. Now, I have a question for you guys. Did you watch the Microsoft Duo event? Because that was some of
Last year?
Just this year. The Microsoft Duo, like the live stream that they did.
I didn't know there was an event for
that
the Duo
thing
this
was
year.
the most cringiest 20-minute live stream I've ever watched. They were the guy.
I was gonna say Samsung might have them beat.
I don't know. I
that's
actually didn't
over
watch the
20
Note
minutes.
event, so maybe I should compare both. But
Unpacked was pretty bad. I got to admit.
this was also
I've
pretty
seen
bad.
some bad events. I'm glad you brought up the Duo.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I think that's the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time.
let me ask you. Don't you just love taking phone calls like this? Oh, hello. Yes. Okay. Let me see about that here. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's flip this back and use the back. Ooh.
What I can't
So stupid.
Yeah. What I can't figure out about the Duo is why it's expensive. Because the more, even after I did the video on it, the more we talked about it in the Discord, the more we realized there is no part of hardware in the entire device that is expensive to make. Every
That
single
hinge.
aspect.
It's such
The battery
it's
is small.
such a well-balanced premium hinge
The
that has
camera is
watch-like
average.
mechanics in it, and ultra-thin wiring for
Hinges aren't
data and
expensive,
power.
though. Hinges with foldable displays are expensive, like the Galaxy Fold. I get that. So a lot of people's interest in the Duo was them thinking, oh, well, maybe if it's a dual display with a line down the middle, then that should be much cheaper because it doesn't require a foldable display. It's two still glass slabs. But the hinge, I don't see that being as expensive because there's not much going between those two hinges. It's just a hinge. And the battery is small. The chip is old. The camera's average. There's only one camera. There's not even a forward-facing and rear-facing camera. There's literally one camera. And it's a mono speaker. It's not even stereo speakers. And the RAM isn't that high. The storage isn't that high. For $1,400, the displays aren't that big in the first place. They're average pixel densities. They're not even bezel-less. There's huge chins. There's huge foreheads. I cannot figure out where the money went in this product. Why is it expensive?
Yeah. It's definitely the Microsoft camera, because they have that camera on the front, and it's such a high quality camera because if you want to FaceTime someone, you can do it like a book, and if you want to take a video, you just have to fold it in half, and then you can take a video. It's so well thought through. Because if there's anything I do in my daily life is me taking my iPhone's front-facing camera and recording a video. I do that all the time. Very good job, Microsoft.
I don't get it. This is prototypes that shouldn't have left R&D. That's what it is.
It's escaped. Someone go grab it.
Microsoft saying, well, we've been working on this for a while. Is it good? Not really. But we've wasted too much money on the program, so we better start charging for it. We better have some form of revenue here. And the software alterations they made to Android are so basic.
I know.
Keep saying, like, well, they did so much software changing with it. All they're doing is putting two apps together. That's not drastic redesigning of Android. That's just like, okay, one app open here, one app open. It's a little bit better than just having two phones
exactly
held next to each other.
And honestly, that
When
might have
did
been
it-
just
when did it release?
a better idea. Just a week ago.
Early last week, I think, they announced the shipping, and it's shipping September 9th, and it's $1,400, and they gave away all the specs, which we didn't know last year. And I think a lot of people were interested in it because they thought it would be in the 1,000 or less department. Even then, I wouldn't say it is worth it, but the fact that they overshot it by so much from people's expectations, and that the specs were so incredibly bad compared to what other phones you can get for $1,400 these days, like, feels like a complete miss the mark.
I feel like it's one of those things where when they announced it and they did a demo of it, last year or 2 years, however long ago that was.
It was last year.
Yeah. It's like they got to own it now. They weren't probably all that committed to it because everything about it is so. Like it's just like it's
Who cares?
It's gimmicky. It's gimmicky for all the wrong reasons.
The definition of gimmicky.
Yeah.
Oh, no NFC. That was the other thing. There's
Well, they don't
mobile
need
payments.
it because it's Drew. It's not a smartphone. It's not
but
designed.
it takes SIM cards and it takes phone calls.
But it's the Duo, Drew. It's meant to complement your Surface desktop ecosystem.
They don't know what it is.
not
They
a
can't make up their mind on it.
That presenter though, he wasn't the CEO of Microsoft. He was probably the product lead or something. But he was not scripted, and it showed. And they tried to do this live presentation, and they cut to him early from another presenter, and you heard the crew guy, 3, 2, 1. So thank you so much, Jules. I appreciate you showing us about the micro. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, just don't. And then they had two presenters who were in their demo area, and they were socially distanced to begin with, across the room. Mm-hmm. And then the guy walked over to the lady, and they're standing right next to each other, and I'm just like, okay, what is going on?
It feels like companies trying to figure out what the next platform is, what the next big product category is, and them just not really having much of a good idea. Because it feels like they're aiming for that tablet smartphone mixture and kind of making a bad version of both. So it's kind of the same foldable problem all over again. It's just like you're trying to make a 2-in-1 that's bad at being either, and you can get cheaper versions that are better. If you just pick one product, are you a tablet or are you a phone?
I know Apple's rumored to start working on their own foldable. Even if they did it, I don't understand the need or the necessity. I don't understand. I grew up with flip phones and I love those things, right? I had fun hanging up on people. The whole thing. There is a nostalgia that's associated with it, but practicality is more important than anything else, especially when the way we use our phones have completely changed over the last 10, 15 years. And so I don't see a need to have a foldable anything for the sake of it's fun or a gimmick, because an iPhone has its purpose where it does take phone calls, your SIM card's in it, and and it's also the camera in your pocket. So to me, those are the highlighted features, which is why they keep focusing on those every single year. The iPad has become more productivity based because it's way past its competition, and it's not even hitting the roof of the 2018 models. iPads are performance beasts based off of iPad OS, and it keeps improving there. And then you have computers, which serve their purpose for being more of the workhorse type of style for people who want to use Final Cut and all those other things, or if you're just used to the whole click mouse and the multiple windows type of thing. So they all have their perspective role. I don't see implementing a fold in any of that increasing something, and I don't see it on a watch. I don't see it on any wearable. It doesn't make sense because it compromises, in my opinion, you're going to compromise the display, or you're going to get what Microsoft did, and you're just putting two displays together and making it's ugly then at this point. I just don't understand
they
it.
took two iPhones and some duct tape and iPhone
I don't
6s,
get
those
it.
bezels are chonk.
Yeah, they're huge.
If they're going to
bezels,
say
which
that
doesn't help.
these foldables are supposed to then take on the tablet market because iPad, no one can compete with iPad, so they're trying to now make a new version like, oh, but it's not like an iPad. So you get a phone that can give you iPad, or let me rephrase, if you get a phone that gives you tablet power, well then
Right.
just get an iPhone because the chips do that already. Like it's if you want more screen real estate, you got the iPhone 11 Pro Max quad. You know, you get the end of the end, and that will give you everything, most of what you need. Because I don't see what the point of having two screens, in this case for Microsoft, doing something over here, do something over here, when, for example, on iPhone now you have PIP, and you could do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to have multiple split applications, maybe that's
Well,
iOS 15. I don't know, but
the eye itself can only focus on so much at once.
that's what I'm
and
saying.
It is
It
helpful
makes
to
sense.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
you can switch. That's what I love about gesture control since the iPhone 10 is it's very easy to switch between two apps. And if you want to have multiple apps open, I feel like most people are comfortable pulling out something else with a larger display. That's why we have laptops and iPads, and trying to make this kind of middle ground between the two where you still have to type with your thumbs, but you have a little more screen space than a phone, but not quite as much. You know, you can't do laptop type activity on a display as small as the Duo because it's too small for that.
Oh, they'll make you think you can.
Yeah, they'll try to pitch it.
Look how
I think there's more hope
convenient this is.
for the Surface Neo, which is like their dual screened laptop type thing. I could almost see that selling better just because you can have the full size keyboard attachment, and it's more so just a laptop that you can convert. It's more of a 2-in-1, but seeing how much the Duo costs, it makes me think the Neo is probably going to be extremely expensive with terrible specs, and that's going to kill it from the beginning. So we'll see. They haven't given us much info on that, but I feel like that has more hope than the Duo. But I see this being one of those things we look back on 5 years from now. Remember when Microsoft tried to go back into the phone business again, and they
After
made
they
that
failed.
weird?
Again,
Yeah, like we're gonna look back at this as the one of the weird 2020 gimmicks. I don't think this is the birth of a new era. Because what's funny on Twitter that I want to bring up is every time there's a new product category that I don't think makes much sense or I don't think is going to be that successful, people always use Apple examples in their defense, as if Apple is the one introducing this. But they're not. That's why I say it's kind of a double standard. So I'm like, I don't think these foldables are going to work out. And people are like, people didn't think the iPhone was going to work. Yeah, Apple made that because Apple thinks through products, introduces them, and then supports them for years and years. Whereas the companies I'm criticizing, Samsung or Microsoft, are known for trying to introduce something before it's ready, having it not work out, and kind of axing it within a few years because there wasn't enough public interest in it. You know, the whole Ballmer rant on iPhone being
I was just
expensive and
thinking
not
about
having
that.
a keyboard.
$500 for an iPhone?
Yeah. I'm like, if Apple was introducing this thing, your counter argument of, well, people didn't like the iPad, people didn't like the iPhone at first, people didn't like AirPods at first, that would make sense because Apple likes to introduce things and continue to, they want to do long-term support. But Samsung and Microsoft don't. Samsung and Microsoft have track records of introducing tech that was around for a couple of years and then no one cared, so they got rid of it. That's what they're more known for, whether it's the Galaxy Round, the Galaxy Beam, the Edge displays going further and further, and now they're curving back. Actually, we're more flat now, So I find that counter argument incredibly hilarious, given they always have to pull out Apple examples to defend a Samsung mistake.
Got him. Speaking of defending, then I saw it's I guess a hot buzz topic right now with Apple banning Fortnite.
Oh, we're gonna get into
I
this
knew
now.
this would come up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
think we all, knowing you guys, I think we're all in agreement
Let
on
me
this
just go
subject.
scream
So if
into
you
my
don't-
soundproofing top.
Let me
I don't
just say,
think we're going to get much disagreement here, but
No.
just for anybody who the argument I was seeing last night, and the reason why I even chimed in on Twitter was because the baseline is flawed. You can own your hardware. Do whatever you want with your hardware. That's fine. That's what you bought. You do not own the software. You do not own the platform.
It actually says it in the TOSs.
Yeah. You
don't own the
agree to
software.
certain things. Yeah, you don't own it. That's not yours. And Apple is legally, obviously, well within the right to do whatever they want to do. That's their IP. 2, they're a business. You know, they're a
What?
They're not a nonprofit. They're not a charity. They're not a nonprofit. They're a business.
You mean I've been
3,
sheepishly following $1 trillion company all these years?
I mean, hey, you don't get to $1 trillion by just
Giving
giving out
everything away.
freebies and
Giving
stuff.
away stuff.
Yeah, but and what Drew was saying about like how common it is. This is exactly the same conversation we were having about Spotify for the exact same reason. Now instead of
I would
music,
say this is a worse argument than the Spotify argument.
Really?
I will make a bold claim here, but I have lots of evidence to back it up. Epic Games is being more hypocritical than Apple right now.
Ooh.
Far more hypocritical.
Keep talking, Drew. I like this, Drew.
Both Apple and Google banned Fortnite. Keep that in mind, because a lot of media outlets love leaving
everyone
that
was
part out.
attacking Apple, but then all of a sudden it's like you do know Google did the exact same thing for the exact same reason. Where's
Yes.
the pitchforks for Google? Nobody seems to be getting
and
mad at Google.
Let's not forget Epic Games is a $1 billion company owned by Tencent. And
Yeah.
the irony of Tencent making a 1984 commercial is hilarious to me, because this is $1 billion. They own huge majority of mobile gaming. And the idea that they're standing up to a monopoly is ridiculous because of how much Tencent owns themselves that they're complaining about. And also, Apple App Store policy, Google Play Store policy did not change.
No.
There's not some rule that Apple decided, you know what? We want more money now, and that's why Epic got banned. That's not what happened. Their policies haven't changed basically for the past decade.
Yeah.
The revenue cut's been the same. The in-app purchases have been the same. There's been a few tinkering here and there, but the 30% thing has not changed.
Right.
What
Literally
changed was
has never changed. Like back to
Yeah.
2007 or 9 has never changed.
whenever the
9?
App Store
When did
came
the
out.
App
Yeah,
Store
they
come out?
they chose
2008,
30% because that was an
2008.
industry standard.
Exactly. And it was
That's
there
what
long
most
before.
platforms did.
Yeah. You
And
speak
that's
it, Drew.
exactly what Xbox does, PlayStation does, Nintendo does. All platforms that do not allow alternative app stores that Fortnite is present on and not complaining about.
Yeah.
Even if you want to buy V-Bucks through Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, they all have the same fee. They're not complaining though. They're not boycotting the consoles, but they are boycotting, the iOS and the hilariousness of it is Epic is the one who backdoored an update that allowed you to pay them directly, bypass the App Store rule.
Yep.
They knew exactly what they were doing. This was
Absolutely.
not.
This is
This was not
premeditated.
Yeah.
We thought it might be fun to lower Fortnite prices.
They saw the heat that was going down in Congress whenever all the execs were on the antitrust meetings, and they're like, "It's time, guys! It's time! Get the lawyers ready!"
My exact point. Guess what tech companies were not present at the antitrust committee? Microsoft,
Epic Games,
Sony,
yeah.
Nintendo, all doing the exact same thing, verbatim, for what Apple and Google are doing.
Yeah.
Okay, even if you want to make the argument, which I've seen made too many times, Apple has a monopoly on the iOS App Store. Guys, they made it. You can have a monopoly on something that's
Drew,
yours.
did you
just
know
like
that
Google
Ford
has a
Motor
monopoly.
Companies has a monopoly on all the Fords?
Nicholas, Drew has a monopoly on the Taylosive network. He has a monopoly on the Talk channel. He has a monopoly on the Game channel. He has a monopoly on the
I guess we're
Tech
changing
channel.
the definition of
But not
monopoly
here,
now.
folks. This is
He
a
has a
three-way partnership.
the biggest platforms that he has a monopoly. Nick, how's this fair?
Google has a monopoly on YouTube. Disney has a monopoly on Disney Plus. Netflix has a monopoly on Netflix. And even if your argument is, well, there's other streaming services you can use outside of Netflix, guess what? There's other app stores you can use not to access iOS
And
because
also,
Apple's decided.
guess what? Those app stores have the same rules as Apple. I don't understand.
Who would have guessed? It's almost like this is called an industry standard.
And Epic themselves does have a revenue cut on their own store. In which case, Epic is saying, no, if you wanna publish games on our store, we get a cut. But they're saying on the iOS App Store, we shouldn't get a cut. If you want to buy V-Bucks
did not
directly.
know that.
It's literally the definition of a double standard.
Huh.
It's hypocrisy because, again, all the consoles are doing the same thing. You
Yeah.
could argue monopoly. Microsoft has a monopoly on the Xbox game library. Sony has a monopoly on the PlayStation library. It's all the same argument. They're just not bringing it up because they're not part of the antitrust case. And they know bad press, because this was all done in the pursuit of how much can we lower Apple's revenue cut so we can increase our income, given they're willing to basically take away their own app. Because, again, Apple didn't want to ban Fortnite. They just intentionally broke terms of service, knowing it would get blocked. Epic is basically taking away their service and their games from their own fans, from their own community, in favor of go spam Apple on Twitter. That's what they did here. Which, in my opinion, is pretty scammy and pretty scummy in itself, of just saying, let's take our fan base, instead of being like, we want to provide games for people that they enjoy to play.
Yeah.
No, take that away because we want to increase revenue by 10, 20%, and we would rather have all of our kids that are playing our games go spam Apple now.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
So
And Apple's policy hasn't changed. They didn't treat them any differently than anyone else on the App Store. And again, Epic is not boycotting Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, even though they do the exact same revenue cut. So,
and
far
honestly,
more hypocrisy coming from
30%
Epic.
is pretty low. Like, YouTube takes 45%. And I didn't realize how impactful this is until, like, we're monetized now on YouTube, and we're still monetized on our audio podcast. And I did some digging, and our audio hosting service only takes 15%. And so that is unheard of levels of low, right? But I was comparing the revenue numbers between the two forms of income that this podcast does, and I was like, wow, YouTube is really low. And as I was digging, I was like, oh, this is 45% of the ad revenue that's just disappearing. So we're only getting to keep 55%. That's totally fine. Drew, you've built a whole career on that 45-55 cut. It works for lots of people.
It's fair.
It is pretty fair.
It doesn't cost anything to post videos.
You're not paying hosting services. You're not paying marketing. You're not paying for Marquez to do his YouTube originals. You're not. It's just that 45%.
And also, it goes back, and I know it's kind of like, I'm making it a black and white thing, but there's some validity behind it. If you have a problem with all that, the old saying of like, go make your own. Then see how far you get on your own. You're not going to do it because either you don't have the resources or the market cap or both, and you can't.
It's almost like it costs money,
right,
or time to make a platform.
What?
Interesting.
I thought those were free.
And then again, like
store.
Google,
And it's
Apple,
difficult to make a big one.
all these companies, like
Even Google couldn't make a social network.
this reminds me of the argument, and I had to side with the company again. This reminds me of the argument of 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time to be monetized. You can have your feelings about it, but there it is. If you don't like it, there's the door.
That's their policy.
That's their policy. And guess what? People adapt, got over it, did what they had to do, and it's done. My point of even bringing that one up is that when somebody has a problem with something, this is anti-blah. You're coming to the table with no problem, or with a problem with no solution, and you're not even acknowledging the fact that all these things do come at a cost that to maintain, to even grow on, and they're again for-profit company, and we're not getting charged anything. Us as a consumer, okay. Us as the end user, Apple's taking 30% from the developer and whatever they make for it. I'm still paying $9.99 if I'm doing an in-app purchase. All the same, I don't really care. The same way if I want to super chat something or whatever. Like at the end of the day, like me as the guy who's spending money, as the person who's going to consume it, here's my $10 or whatever. Make it go. I don't care. I don't care how to divvy it up. That's between you. That's between you and the legal whatever. The consumer doesn't ultimately care.
Because at the end of the day, the developer was happy with the 30% cut.
But if
and
you
they
do,
made
if
the
you
app
don't
knowing
like
that.
it, if you don't like it, get over it. I mean, and I know that's it's cold to say, but it's like there's things I don't like about.
It's not new to the business world.
There's things
is
I
what
don't
think a
like
lot of
about
people-
YouTube, and I adapt to it. There are things I don't like about the podcast and us getting paid.
Right.
I adapt to it. This is life, like just brooding and this is sucks. I don't like it.
Even outside of like app stores, book publishers have licensing
Dude,
fees. Movie
when
studios have
my
ownership
albums,
fees.
my music have the same
Yeah.
problem. Okay, there's a
Grocery
reason why
stores.
YouTube, not YouTube, musicians can't grow fiscally for the same reason. There's cuts that are taken on that side too. It's everywhere. If you want to use something for free and you want to get out there, and heck, I'm telling you that like I have to, and this is me paying people to distribute my music and stuff like that, and they still get a cut even after I have to pay some money. If you're using something for free, or you end up paying for a video game, or you're paying to distribute your audio, whatever, and there's a cut for it, you ultimately you agree with it then, and now that maybe you saw, oh, maybe we can make more money, now you're just getting greedy. And okay, fine, consumers are not capitalism. All right, you want to get greedy, have at it, but make your own stuff. There are competitors to YouTube that just don't grow. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
I think the YouTube example is more relevant than people think, because I've seen it brought up a lot that, well, iOS is huge though. iOS is half of the mobile community. And I'm like, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
You guys, a lot of the time, have this, people have this entitlement of the App Store just fell from the sky one day, and that's just how it's here.
Yeah.
No, like the reason you don't try to make your own mobile platform and your own App Store.
An ancient civilization, and they're like, the App Store descended from heaven one day.
It just fell from the sky, and there's a huge industry there, and it just happened to be consumed by Apple. Right?
Tons
Apple
of
just
people.
said, "Oh, this is ours
Apple's paid
now."
out what?
No.
$200 billion or something like that to developers.
More
Probably
than
more
that.
than that. I don't know how many.
Hundreds
enough.
of billions. They
Not
created
enough.
an industry that they build the hardware for. And here's some just hard facts that
Yeah.
you can't work around.
Okay.
iOS App Store generates more revenue, pays out more revenue than the Play Store, despite being a smaller user base.
How dare you?
It's because it's more heavily regulated. There's more security built in. They do more manual reviews.
There's more trust.
And because of that, consumers at the endpoint have expressed they are more comfortable spending money on the iOS App Store. They are more comfortable investing in that because they know exactly what they're getting. There's no malware. There's very little scams. If there are, they don't last long. And because of that, that's why the app market's so big. It's not because it just happened to be big. It's because Apple's rules, their guidelines, and even with their revenue cut, has resulted in a successful app market. We know people personally, I know in the three of us, we know people personally that from their own homes decided to make an app and made thousands of dollars off it.
Yeah.
And we know Lumafusion, over dozens of game companies, hundreds, thousands of game companies that are now, full-time employing people. Mm-hmm. And they did all of that with the 30% cut. So if you're trying to make the argument that the App Store can't be successful, or game devs or devs in general can't be successful because of this cut, look how big it is. Look how huge this app market has become. Look how many careers have been born from it. There's an app for that. All of that still had the 30% cut. So you can't really make that argument that it can't be successful when there are so many people that are. And again, the reason Epic won't make their own mobile app store, they won't make their own hardware and software, is because they know, well, that's just unrealistic. It's too big. It's too expensive. Okay, so now you're going to use someone else's. You are profiting off of someone else's creation. And Apple's happened to be one of the most successful ones of all time because of what they chose to do. Manual review, only allowing apps from the iOS App Store. And if you're saying, well, they should allow alternative app stores, Google does, they should do those other app stores, it has resulted in more malware, more sketchy apps, less trust from the consumer, and less revenue generated. So you're saying if Apple allowed alternative app stores, that would be nice because I don't want to use the iOS App Store. You're saying be more like the more unsuccessful platform. You should be more like the Android platform, which has less revenue spent and less people trusting the platform as a whole. You're basically saying we should by law force Apple to make a more unsuccessful industry.
Why is it now? Like this is
Good
why
job,
it's
Drew,
all.
by the way.
It's
Good job.
this is
Thank
this
you.
is all a. This is a stunt, a publicity stunt. Because why is it now a problem?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is, and then I
Because
think
of the antitrust hearing. That's
what
exactly
I was saying
why.
on Twitter last night too. Was like, notice I was like, only now a problem? Like, this is not really a problem. This is artificial noise. This is artificial anger.
This is people being cooped up at home, unemployed, and angry at life, and so they're gonna go.
What I think it is
carry on with anything.
Is Epic seeing their numbers go down.
Sure.
If you search Fortnite relevance over the past several years, less and less searches, less and less downloads, less and less people being interested in the app. It's still a very big game. I know that. I'm just saying decline is going down. And similar to Fortnite shutting down, I think it was earlier this year where they just said, okay, the game is over for a few weeks, and then they come back with Chapter 2. It's the exact same approach, just with more legal jargon and with more upset, because now instead of Fortnite just ending or shutting down, they get to say, hey guys, Fortnite is gone and it's Apple's fault. They did this to us.
Yeah, this is
Despite
completely premeditated.
This is all on Epic's side. Apple didn't change anything. Epic successfully launched the mobile app years back and made millions, if not billions of dollars off of it. And they're just now seeing, okay, not that many people are downloading or numbers aren't looking good. This will pique our interest. Now everyone's talking about us. And also we get this advertisement of, hey guys, V-Bucks are only this much now. They get to show that everywhere.
Yeah.
It's literally just a giant mass marketing campaign in the shape of App Store unfair, despite everyone doing, they never had this problem with Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo.
Sure. What a coinky.
What a coincidence. I'm annoyed by the whole story. I think Spotify has a better case because they can argue that, well, Apple introduced Apple Music and now they're not letting us advertise our option. There's an argument to be made there. But Apple does not have their own version of Fortnite. Apple does not try to give you V-Bucks in-house and make money that way. No, this is all on Epic. This has nothing to do with any of that.
Imagine that we're playing 4D chess right now, and this is all one big marketing play to get us to use Apple Arcade.
Ooh, it's not working very well.
It's not working. Well, Apple One might change that.
No, I don't think so.
I was thinking about it. I was looking at the numbers, or I was looking at the not statistic, but the possibility of what the cost would be based off of the whole, bundling services and stuff like that. I don't think I could still get in it though, to be honest with you. And it's not because there's no Apple Care. It's because I pay a total of $7 or $8, whatever the 200 gig is for iCloud, and then $5 for Apple Music. And that's it. And I don't think I can beat $7 or $8 under $10, no matter how I kind of slice it. And those are the services I genuinely use. And I'm not at the point where I'm no longer maxing out my 200 gigs of iCloud. So for my use case personally, I don't see that as a necessity for me. Now, in a hypothetical where I had more data, I'm a data hoarder like Nick and Sweeney, and I need 2 terabytes.
Me too.
Right. I know.
Okay.
But we made a dedicated video about Nick, so that's fine. But in a situation where, let's say you...
I see what you're referring to. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Cousin Randy. I forgot about that.
Cousin Randy. So I think in the sense that if
Cousin Randy.
if iCloud could give us an option to expand that upon more, because I think it is becoming an actual issue with people running out of storage and they don't know what to do. I could see that having the potential to grow, but I don't think this is going to save News Plus or Apple Arcade, honestly. Or TV's too soon. I'll give them TV still because of the amount of money they invested into it. I think it's still too soon. But the other two, moving pictures don't really do it for me. And Apple Arcade, I don't really play video games like that. If I do, I'm playing on like a dedicated console. I'm one of those. I know PC Master Race and all that, but I like the convenience of playing, Mario or something. I don't know.
Oh, I see you buy into monopolies, Randy.
Oh, yeah. Those Nintendo monopolies.
Nintendo has a monopoly on Mario
I do have
games.
Monopoly, the video game for the Switch, so that technically counts.
You should switch away from that.
They have a monopoly on Monopoly games.
Ooh.
So I don't know about this whole Apple One thing. It just really makes me concerned about the Cybertruck. No.
Wrong show.
No, I already
it by definition is trying to get you to spend more money on things you don't need.
Exactly.
That's what Apple One is.
I already
Sure.
don't use Apple Music. I already don't use
That's so
Apple
weird to
TV
me.
Plus. I mean, I have the free trial, but I'm going to end it. And I just checked it's November 1st when I need to make sure to cancel that. I really only use YouTube Premium and iCloud storage. Those are my only, because YouTube Premium also gets me YouTube Music for the 6 songs I listen to. That's fine for me. And as much as I'd love to get the maxed out Apple One with, everything, it's just like, there's no need for it. Really, as Randy said, I don't need moving pictures. I don't need these games that I don't have time to play already. I only have one game on my phone, and it's 2048, which is the most simplest basic game, which I only play if I've refreshed my Twitter feed 80 times and I'm bored. I'm not a mobile game player, and
it would be
sad.
a great throw in the bag thing. It would be a great, when you pre-order the iPhone 12, get a year of Apple One.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Me too. I would do that.
For the next 12 months, you can get all these services for free. I'd be like, cool, I'll do that. But I don't see that happening. They'd probably lose way too much on it. So, yeah, I think they're kind of counting on people who don't really think that wise financially.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm guessing that the Apple One target demographic is not actually in the tech community. I think more of the tech community is aware of what they can get outside of those services, and they know they're not worth it. And they're kind of hoping for the casual person that kind of subscribes and forgets and doesn't really look at their finances, because I can't see that many people. I can't even think of one person in my personal life that's like, $5 a month for games with no ads? Sure, I'll subscribe to that. It's not a thing. I don't know anyone who does that.
Yeah.
Because so what you're saying is you're paying $60 a year
To rent
for
some
it.
games.
To rent some games that you don't own. And
if you stop paying, you lose them all.
Exactly.
And
And,
if-
all
yeah,
your
and you lose
progress
out.
in those games. And I know how emotionally invested you get into games. I used to be a huge fan of Asphalt 8. Oh my gosh. I spent real money in that
Me
game.
too.
And along with
I never did
2
that.
years
That's
of
crazy.
my life.
Oh my god.
But I know how emotionally invested you get. And after you're hooked in that kind of a game, it's hard to get out of it. You're stuck.
Interesting.
And you don't want to stop paying, because as soon as you stop paying that $5 a month, then you're going to lose all of the 100,000 coin or the fancy in-app thing that you finally upgraded to, or that level
And
that
I
you
think-
just unlocked.
I think that's the issue I have with services, is it really actually has nothing to do with what they cost.
yeah.
It's the idea of paying for them. If arcade was $1 a month, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
If it was
That's true.
a penny a month,
You're paying,
I probably wouldn't do it.
I don't want to pay to rent something. This is why I have a problem with leases, for vehicles and stuff like that. I don't want, or the upgrade program where you have to turn in your phone. I want to have the option, even if I'm going to sell it, let me sell it on my terms. Maybe I want to keep it in the family and give it to my wife, or maybe I want to give it to somebody else in my family.
I'm selling my iPhone this year to my dad.
There you go. See, and so my
He's
point is
finally
that
getting up
I like
from the 6S Plus.
Woo! He did it.
Finally.
He did it. He's going
And while
he's going
coming to you,
gestures.
Dad.
While we're
Here it
talking about it, I'm
comes.
also trying to sell my 11 Pro Max for my next phone. So hit me up on no.
And while we're talking about it, one of you little lucky cool cats and kittens are gonna win one of these. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke, people. It's a joke.
We're not giving away any iPhones
It's
on
a
this
joke.
show ever.
No, there are no
Not giving-
giveaways happening.
Especially with an iPhone.
We will accept giveaways.
Yeah,
I
send
don't
them our
accept
way.
them, but
If you guys want to give us something, let us know.
yeah, we'll take them. So I think, the idea of paying you something that I don't get to keep, I just have an issue with. And what's funny? I don't think I said this out loud yet, but Nick kind of planted a seed in my brain a couple of weeks ago that I can't seem to, weed out. I'm starting to have a problem with Apple Music because I don't actually own what I'm downloading.
Ooh.
And I actually download a lot, and I start thinking, it's Nick said, and Echo is like, if I would have just bought these things outright, I think I would have saved me some money. And I pause, I go, oh no, that's me. And because I don't use Apple Music for the radio, App Beats One or whatever. I don't use it for its playlist. I actually personal preference. I like Spotify's lo-fi playlist better than I like Apple Music's one, so that's just a preference. But anything else when it comes to discovery, I do go to YouTube because that means there's already a lyric or music video out. So if I'm looking for something specific, I'll go there. But I don't own the stuff I'm actually downloading in Apple Music, and I want to own it. And now I'm sitting here like, can I make my services down to $2 or $3 or whatever I'm paying for iCloud only? Because I get it. I'll never own the cloud services, and that's fine. But the music, I started to have a problem, and Nick started, he just watered the little seed every now and then to just kind of put it, and it's been growing.
Well, I haven't looked back, guys. I've 2 months into no Apple Music.
Well, the problem is that I have the premium. I have YouTube Premium, and I'm like, well, maybe I could use it.
Exactly.
I don't really need it because. But the thing is, I don't use those features for what its intended purpose is. And for Spotify, I'm using a friend's account, so I'm like, well, it's free.
Maybe you just start using Spotify full time. That'd be an option.
No, because until, the way it is on the Tesla, I'm rather just Bluetoothing my car. Spotify on Tesla is terrible.
Yeah, the approach I've taken to this is, okay, I'm already going to be paying for YouTube Premium, YouTube Red. Like, I've been paying that for 2 years, however since it's been available, and I've always enjoyed no ads, and that's why I pay whatever it is, $15 a month or $27 or $22. I was just looking at it, $22 a month for the family plan. I'm already paying $22 a month for $22.99 for the family plan of YouTube Red, and that's been there and that's going to be there for now. But in addition to that, I'm also getting this free benefit of Apple, what it compares to Apple Music, YouTube Music, and that is saving me $15 a month. That what I was using for the family plan. So that's like $170 a year that I'm getting in with this YouTube Premium. And to be honest, guys, like, after you switch, it takes maybe 2 afternoons to move all your playlists over, and there's a website that allows you to move them over pretty easily. I haven't looked back, and it's a
You're
little sad.
no Apple sheep. You're an Apple shill.
I am an Apple shill.
Well,
I'm a Phil shill.
Coincidentally, I guess this is a good time to announce I'm also canceling Apple
No
Music.
way,
What?
really?
You're lying.
I'm not lying.
Oh my
This is
God.
real.
I have had an impact in the world. I thought that I might never have an impact in the world, but I guess
Nick and
I
his
have.
seeds.
Wait,
Dang it.
is it because of Nick as well?
There's a few.
Oh,
there's a
he's not
few
going to give me credit.
factors
Watch
at play.
this, Randy. Watch this. Oh, he's not going to give credit.
I will give credit to Nick.
Yeah, credit
He
is
did help.
credit is due. Nick, and he was the red pill equivalent of he just planted it for me. I'm like, and then weeks later, I'm over here like, why am I paying for it? Oh my, Drew,
If
no,
you add
not you
how
too.
much you've paid for Apple Music since you've had it, like for me, it was like $600 and something, and I was like, dang.
Well,
No,
I do spend a lot. I did spend a lot on music before Apple Music was a thing, to be fair.
Yeah.
I used to buy multiple albums a month.
Okay.
So I don't regret signing up for it because I did save money on it technically. I just have a very different lifestyle than I did back then. When I signed up for it, I lived with my parents, for one, and I went to school. And when I walked between classes, or back when I used to work at the Mandarin Ranch, and when I used to mow lawns more regularly, I used to listen to a lot more music than I do now. And another big factor that went into play is that with iOS 14, they have now brought the support for HomePods to switch default music streaming services, meaning I don't lose HomePod functionality by losing Apple Music anymore. Before I would have, and then they would have basically just been doorstops at that point. Now they're not doorstops.
Wait, they
because
Very
weren't
expensive
already
doorstops.
They weren't already doorstops.
I'll tell, we use it quite a bit, and I still technically have Apple Music until October 31st because I paid for it annually.
Okay.
And when you cancel it, you still get it until the renewal date.
Yep.
So I've gone into settings and I've hit cancel and everything, but it will still be active until
Why
end
do
of
I
October.
have? Why is my heart racing right now?
Because all three of us have now finally moved on from Apple Music.
had
So that's
an
why Apple
impact
One is
in the
even
world.
less enticing to me because if they tell me you can get TV Plus and Apple Music for $10 a month, I still won't do it.
So are
Yeah.
you going to be using something else, Drew, or just totally not going to do any streaming music?
No, YouTube Music.
Oh my goodness! Look what you did, Nick.
Because I have an even better deal than you,
Apple
Nick, to be
sheep
fair.
to move
What's
away.
your deal?
So when I signed up for YouTube Red, it was the literal hour they launched it because I had been begging for YouTube to make it way before they did. I was like, why can't they give an ads-free option? I would pay so much for that. They launched it. Back then, it was $10 a month for a single plan and $15 a month for a family plan. And I immediately signed up for the family plan and started renting out the different tiers to friends and family. And once they raised the prices of YouTube Premium, you got factored in. They didn't change your
You got
rates if you
grandfathered.
signed up
That's
before.
Nice.
That's the term. I got grandfathered in, which means I still pay $15 a month, and my cousin, his wife, and my sister each pay me $3 a month to be on the plan, which means me and Louise both get it for $6 a month. And now that includes, of course, YouTube Premium, and I watch YouTube for hours a day, so that's totally worth it in itself. But knowing that they also offer YouTube Music as a part of it, and I can listen to music through that, it's not great. I will say I don't love it. The UI, the layout, and even the bit rate of music on YouTube Music is not as good.
You get used to it, though.
But I just don't listen to music that much anymore. That's what's changed. Is especially
I'll fix
when my
that.
wife drove. When my wife drove to work, she, the house was to myself, so I would blast music sometimes. And now that she's working from home and taking phone calls, I don't blast music as much anymore. And again, I'm not mowing the lawn that much anymore. I'm not walking between class. There's not a lot of times in my life over the past few months that I've just sat down and listened to music. And if I am, I'm typically at my desk working on my Mac with headphones in which case I can play a YouTube video pretty easily. I don't use the music app on my Mac ever. So most of the time I'm listening to podcasts and videos in the background anyway, not so much music. So I guess it's just a lifestyle change that has made me be like, you know what? And my wife has been asking me to do this for years. So that was also a fact. Long before Nick brought it up, she was like, can't you just do YouTube? And I'm like, no, it's not the same. I don't like it, and it won't work with the HomePod. And now I can't use that argument because of the iOS changes. And so, yeah, that's where we are. No,
This is
all three of us
I am
dropping
so
music.
happy right now. My life is complete and fulfilled. I have made the Apple Sheep switch to a Google product.
Yeah.
it's
We're not like this with their iPhones. We'll get the latest iPhone every
Yeah.
year, but when it comes to the services, we're like,
because we
Apple
don't
TV
own
Plus.
it, and that was the problem. That okay, so here's the thing. $12 for me on a single plan. My wife could not care. She does not watch YouTube like that. She doesn't care, and she doesn't mind ads when she does jump on. So she's like, no, I don't want to be a part of no family. I don't care. And so she'd do like, I don't want to contribute. I don't want to nothing. Just leave it alone. Save you money and use the. When I got it, it was $12 for premium. So I
For
would
an
pay
individual?
that to take off. For individual, yeah, and I would pay that to take off
$12.99.
yeah. So I pay that, take off the ads, all that stuff.
it's pricey now.
It
Jeez.
is pricey, but I'm
worth
like
it,
you.
though.
I'm on YouTube. That's my most used app, hours and hours and hours a day. That's where my battery depletion goes to, and it's just I accept it for what it is. The fact that I look at it as like, oh well, I'm also paying $0 for music then at that point, and
Bless
they
you,
give
Drew.
me a dedicated app for it.
Thank you.
Bless you, Andrew. I would say that okay, then music. Like I was gonna pay the $12 anyway with premium. So if I get a free service for it, fine. But say that the $12 would have gone towards music and like, oh, you can take it off, and now it's $10 for just premium or whatever. I would have taken it off because then at that point, just from a cost factor, I would just move to Spotify since I'm getting that one for free anyway. But overall, the idea of paying for a service monthly, just I know it's a necessary evil, and if I can be a rebel against it, I will, because I want to own it. The whole you can't own the music that you're paying for, and that's what my money's going towards. Just, I always felt it, but until Nick said it out loud, I was never able to contextualize it. So now it's like, yeah.
I don't care about the ownership stuff. That doesn't bother me at all.
I love music
just go
so
back
much.
and look how much you've spent on Apple Music over the past 5 years.
I don't want to.
It's
I
a
am, but
sad
I'm
number.
not going to buy stuff on iTunes now. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
You're not going to buy stuff on
like,
iTunes?
No, I'm not going to buy anything. If I can just have a form, if I can have a form to listen to it, because ownership doesn't mean you can like legally use it in your own work anyway.
No.
It's just
Mine
it just
does.
means
Just
you
don't
can
have to
have
Use
it.
my stuff. You can use mine. It's
Oh,
whitelisted.
I know I can use yours. I'm talking about all the
already
music
have.
in the world, you know. I'm not gonna be like, ooh, this new soundtrack is cool. I'm gonna buy it. I'm just gonna listen to it on YouTube now. Basically, that's where I am.
Do you think that if it gave you more freedoms, because like using it, you're thinking it from a content creator's point of view, but for you to move that file to wherever you want, if you just want to share it, even as hey, I'm going to text it to you type of
iPod.
thing. I'm just saying that like in the sense that like you could use it offline and all the idea of that, like it's ultimately yours. You can burn it to something if you wanted to. You just have more control over it, not own it. In
I'm
the
never
sense
gonna
that,
burn
Do
a
you
disc
have a CD
again.
player?
I do.
I don't.
My
burn
car
it.
does.
If someone gave me a DVD, I would have no way to play it. I'd be
How
like,
dare you?
"Thank you, Randy. Can I,
I do
borrow
have
your
the
CD
old
player?"
Apple Super Drive,
Ooh, so I guess you guys both do have one.
but I don't use it.
Does that
I
work with an
don't. So,
iPad?
I mean, I can.
Could you plug that into
no.
a USB-C adapter and
I
plug
don't
that
know.
into your iPad?
I should
Maybe.
try that.
That,
But I just mean I can download YouTube videos up for offline use. I can download YouTube music, and I can text you a link to a YouTube video. I can. I don't see the point in the ownership thing, but that's
Also,
just me.
I would say-
respect your right.
But my bias also comes from the fact that if you bought it outright, that benefits the artist more than streaming, where they get a smaller portion too. And I think about like
That's true.
So you can't own it outright because it's not your IP, and I get that. But buying it and I didn't even realize that until I just thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I like buying things because I know it's a bigger support system that I can go to the people that I genuinely support. Because in a point where in a world where we can pirate anything that we want right now, I like buying things the same way, like buying merch. It's just one more thing. It's like, let me support you. And yes, that also includes giving them the 30% cut. And but I know that they're going to get a bigger portion out of it. And just people who used to work in fast food or diners and being a waiter or whatever, and they used to live off of tips, and so people like that tend to tip more when they go up because they were wearing that other shoe. I now see it from the standpoint like I like buying things if I know it's a bigger impact for the creator that I can support them in what little way my contribution can help. And streaming services just give you a smaller cut out of all that. And I'm not saying obviously I love streaming, but I think about how can I support the person more, and that's how I see my way of giving back. Maybe, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, well, everyone, thank you for tuning in.
Man.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again next week. Bye-bye. Have a good week.
see you guys later.
Welcome back to Taylor. Sorry, I squeaked.
Whoa.
Sorry, I squeaked.
Did your voice just crack?
Yeah, sorry.
Wow.
Ready? Okay, here we go.
Take two.
Here we go.